Welcome back to Synology Online. I thought I'd actually go over this. I actually said I was going to do it soon. I just didn't have any time. It's just been really busy here. And honestly, like usually summer, it gets slower. But last year was not slower. And this year it doesn't look like it's getting slower. So when 3 or 4 units come in a day. Today's Sunday, and only two came in, which is nice because FedEx only delivers on Sundays. And then I got a holiday coming up, so Memorial Day, and I'll be working that day. So, anyways, I thought I would go over this video and reply to the comments because I might end up deleting this. So, I'll actually respond to the comments. Some of the comments I'll respond are going to be good, some will be bad, some will be see what I mean. So you can see exactly what I see. Now, I, maybe I shouldn't have posted the video the way it was, so I kind of didn't like it anyways. It's not a marketing strategy or anything. I'm not trying to market anything here. I honestly don't care where YouTube goes because I'm not a YouTube guy. My wife's more of a YouTube person, not me. She has her own channel and stuff. And to be honest with you, making money on YouTube or anything like that, there is no money on YouTube. Back in like if you go back to like 2017, I remember we used to get my wife's channel because I didn't do any of this. She was, 500 a month in YouTube royalties. So not bad for a cooking channel. Has a few hundred videos on it she's done. But then when YouTube changed the whole format of it, you got to have 100,000 subscribers or 100,000 views. Uh, Things kind of changed. So, and we don't, I don't get involved with that or anything. So I'm too busy. I really am. Even doing videos, I got to set aside some time for this or phone calls to customers. So I thought I'd go over this with you. So, and you can see exactly. And I actually had pre-looked at these, so I have something set up here so you can see exactly what I mean. So anyways, this typo Proteus had wrote me, and you can see 15 seconds of your sad rant, while reading a novel boomer rant. But speaking of this, I thought I'd let you know this. Yeah, I am a boomer, 64, but I'm also something else. I actually fall into 3 generation groups. I'm actually a cusp. I'm actually a Jones. So anyone who's born on the transitional year or end year can be, you know, either or categorized. So more of a cusp. So cusps are generational ones. So I'm actually a boomer, Gen X. I kind of slide into that group as well. And I think the last category of the boomers was called the Jones category. So I'm kind of 3, even though officially, technically, I'm a boomer because the Jones one has never been officially established. Because a lot of boomers feel that it's too big of a group, it's too broad ranged, and that should be changed. So, anyways, with Typo Proteus, he's talking about the rant, how dumb everyone is. I never said anyone's dumb. So, one thing I don't lie about things. And you can't even spell simple words. You clearly think I'm not superior. No way at all. I never even said that. I never boast about myself. All I said in the video is why aren't people out there researching this stuff, doing all the technical stuff and doing all that background work that people don't see. And with the name typo, spell words wrong, that's a sad name to have if you're going to tell people they type things wrong. Let me tell you, scientific guys and people who are heavy engineers and stuff, hardly any of them type right when it comes. I can't even get my doctor to type Staphylococcus the right way sometimes. And he's a doctor, and he's considered one of the best in the Midwest. So there's nothing wrong with people who type words. In fact, today everything's even shortened down to I'll see you later, and they'll just type I'll, and then they'll put a C, letter C and a letter U and later. So forget the typo expressions. That's really one of the dumbest things to even type on there. It's not a sad rant. A lot of people, you'd be shocked how many people write me. They don't post because some people feel, might not be all that great. But they do write you, and they constantly say, gosh, how right you are about what we have today. And some of them actually are electronic people. So, and the other thing too is I even donate time to the high school, so I help out the students in the lab, and you'll be pretty shocked with some of the things. And I'm actually going to talk about that when I do a questionnaire at the end, because actually school's ending, so I actually got a chance to do a little questionnaire for a couple of classes, because I only see a couple of classes. I don't see all of them. And that's if I have time, because I only spend like 2 hours there if I get an opportunity to. And they actually look forward to me because my experience is different than theirs, so they get an idea, where I came from and what I did. Because I worked at IBM, Eastman Kodak, I worked at Odetics, I've worked for some big companies, and Odetics was mostly robotics. So I started in robotics. That was where I was at. And when you talk about boomers too, I mean, if you think about it, everything we have today, everything we use today, everything we do today has some type of boomer influence. In fact, we can't even go online. I can't even do this video if I didn't have some form of a boomer connection to it, like who invented internet, who created YouTube and stuff like that. These people, you'd be shocked. Well, I shouldn't say who created YouTube. I don't even know who created YouTube. But anyways, I know it's a Google service. But anyways, if you look at it, even Apple, Steve Jobs, you're looking at all boomer people. So everything you have today has to somehow work with a boomer created invention. All right. So I give them credit, even though I'm a cusp, I'll leave it to them. They're the inventors. And, if you think of inventions, not small things like, I made a new toenail clipper. I'm talking about something that impacts, human society on a global scale. These are the types of invention that those boomers created, we use today. Uh, in fact, I was fortunate enough just a few years ago to meet the guy who invented the LED. My son actually attends Champaign-Urbana, and he was a professor there. And you know, now that's even an electronic thing that affects all of us today. We have LEDs all over the place. So he's been titled as the inventor of it. So ideas came before that, but nobody ever invented one that we could use, and he did. So next question from Andy West. Your caps lock key stuck. Yeah, I know. That's a bad habit of mine. I usually do it in the title, and sometimes I forget and then write it in the description. But you're right. Yeah, I need to cut down on that one. So on MMZ12, brother, what? Be more specific. People who are truly talking and known in a classroom tend to not know how to trouble, especially in more current curriculum. That is it. Yeah, I agree. I don't disagree with that. Uh, it's not an age thing. Like I had a guy come work for me to be 4 years, but the only thing he knew was swap parts. To be fair, though, nobody taught them otherwise. So, and you know what? You're right. And I think every generation has their good people and their bad people. I can't speak for all people in my group who learned in my group. In fact, when I was in school, just to get a few students to pass the lab, I actually had to sneak under the bench and jump over to their station and fix the circuit that they were doing. We were doing transmitters, and it was one of my favorite topics. And yeah, there's some dummies in my class. So, and you probably seen it in your class. And there's some bright ones. I absolutely, there are some bright ones. Don't get me wrong. It's not yesterday or today. And he goes on to mention another age example with a computer shop. And they couldn't, and he said also another thing. It depends on what you fix in variety. Absolutely, I agree, man. You're totally there. He says I'm self-taught. Like me. I do micro soldering and still adult earning. Don't let me see. You're not, he says the reality is you're not upset about it. Change your marketing strategy, whatever it sucks, be kind, be funny, show him. He's right. I'm not marketing anything though, just to let you know. Most of these videos are just to help people when they get stuck. So in Synology, I've been doing this since 2012, and I kind of started it public in 2014. But at the same token, I already been doing this since like 2010. So, but I can't officially say that because it wasn't a real big thing at the time. Um, so can you do here's something. Can you do a full board swap for an iron? Let me see. Isn't this the guy? I work everything. Yeah, I do iPhones and stuff. Let's see. Can you ever replace a Docs Flex on an iPad? Yeah, believe me, it's not easy. And I've done it before. To be honest, you probably have to repair it in 2 hours. So now I own a group that was the first group in the United States that ever had all the schematics for laptops, all the board views, all the iPhone schematics, all the iPhone board views or Flex. Well, you can run them in Flex BB, but they were board views. And I still own this very serious laptop repair group, not just laptops, they have cell phones, HD TVs are in there. Um, there's even an automotive section because everybody in the group does automotive and actually in the automotive section, everyone's warned because there are some files in there that are not, but probably not considered legal in the United States, especially when it comes to computer programming, like Mercedes, BMW. Uh, and if you want to start turning back certain features in diesel engines, if anyone knows those, they can understand what I'm trying to talk about here. And I do automotive as a hobby. As a kid, I've always worked on cars. I've had my classic cars. I owned a couple of 67 442 convertibles. That was my favorite car. So, and it's ridiculous how these things have gone from $7,000 I sold them for in the 90s, and these things are like 50 and 60,000 right now. I wish I kept it. Buy a classic car. It always goes up in price. It's the only investment you're guaranteed to get a good price on. And that's funny because that's usually the worst investment when you buy new. But on a classic, it's probably the best investment you can do. So, and actually I do everything you do. I do gaming rigs. You can't see it from here, but I'm also a vintage computer service guy, and I'm doing them for museums right now. But the gaming rigs, I have about 40 that have to be done by the end of summer, and 20 of those are vintage that have to go to a museum because I have to restore those to look just like they are when they were new, not just on the outside. A lot of them I have to change things. In fact, 2 days ago I just put a coprocessor on an old 8086. So if you know the Intel 8086, but everything. And I'm self-taught just like you. So nobody was there to show me my trials and errors. I do everything. Even though I started in robotics and it was a fun thing for me, I have been working on laptops since they first came out. In fact, I actually added RAM to my Commodore 64. So that's just the things that I've been doing. So if I can show you, I can't, this is actually a computer unit here, but like, no, here's one over here. Like this one has to get restored, and this is actually a 1730. But let's see, how about this guy? These are like, is this the Zenith data system? So this one is getting restored. You can even see the modem card is here. But and when it comes to Apple, there's a complete section of Apple that has to get done. So I'm on this camera that's on my computer that's part of the computer, so I can't really rotate the computer. My inventory is actually not my inventory. Some of my parts and my and NASA's I sell are behind me, but if I had them, I'd show them to you. But I'm well known in the vintage world for restoring those, and I do that as a side thing. So, and it costs, it's not cheap. It costs more than regular laptop service. So, and I got out of laptops simply because when Apple came out with T2 security chips, and then when it started that, there's ways around it now, but still, to me, it was like, yeah, this is Apple again, like back in the 80s and 90s, where you only can use our stuff, buy our stuff type of thing. Something Synology is doing a lot of, and took the book from IBM. So Apple took it from IBM. So with that, I decided I would never do the Apple stuff anymore. So, and I do screens and stuff. I have the heat pads and all that crap. But now with the serialization in T2, I only do it for customers. So if one of my NAS customers has something says, "Can you fix this?" It's, sure. If you want to pay for the parts and I have the spare time, I'll do it for free. If you want for me to pay for me to do it, I'll set aside time and do it in like a few days. So yeah, I don't get involved in them anymore. But no, I hear you. I'm not against you on this, MMZ. So yeah, and I do so many kinds of computer stuff. I change GPUs, you know, bug converters that are constantly going out. So, uh, yeah, I do them all. So now about that laptop group I had mentioned you about, there's 500 members in there, and they're global. Only half are in the United States. The other 250 are all over. A lot in Russia, a lot in Asia, a lot in Europe. Europe is one of the largest part of the group. Apple, NVIDIA are also in that group. It was the first, and it's private. It's not a public realm, and it's strictly word of mouth. It used to be public, and this thing, when we had it and it grew so big, I shut it down for public access anymore. And every member that's in it has to pay. It costs $200 to get into the group, so it's not free. And we probably have about 80,000 in on FTP database. That includes automotive HDTV, the classroom files, the laptop stuff, the cell phone stuff. Apple and NVIDIA is more about monitoring, so trend analysis, just to see what are the common failing problems out there. They don't interact in the forum, so the forum's private too. But Chip Masters has been there. It's now called Chip Masters Notebook Squad. And we've had some fallouts, so like with some YouTubers, and they posted videos about it. So, and in fact, one of the Apple ones is probably the most popular. And I hate it because when you join the group, you paid your one-time fee. It's open for everybody. All right. I don't like the idea of someone coming and saying, "Oh, you could make more money at this. You should be charging people for advice and stuff." When I give advice or someone else gives advice, I says, "No, that wasn't what the structure of the group is. The group was designed so everyone supports everyone like a family." So about 6 members got booted. I mean, they actually were kicked out. So I won't mention any names, but it's there, and that's it. So, and it started a long time ago, and I think I did one dumb video on YouTube for fun, just to see what it would look like on it, and I couldn't do them anymore because the group is a voting group. They decide what has to be done. I just manage the group and own the group. So they say, "We don't want this person. We don't want this person. We don't want videos. We don't want videos." Anything public, because what company wants their name showing online in the public realm that they need help with something. And these are serious help. This is not like I can't get Windows to load for, no. This is like, what pin is A9 on the GPU because I'm reading low voltage on this buck converter and I know it's connected directly in this area because I can see it on the board view. Or, the core voltage. What is that supposed to be because I can check this. And there's so many things. It's really more serious stuff, measurements, and everyone's there to help everybody. So, and we have one or two that actually work for some of these big YouTubers and help and support their forums. And I don't mind. I stay out of their private lives just as long as our group doesn't do this. Actually, one of the reasons we actually dropped that one YouTuber was because he was getting sued by Apple for posting the files online, and I believe they settled that out of court. So, and when that was one of the discrepancies in the group, do not publicly post the files in forums, videos, whatnot. So, anyways, enough of that story. So back to this one. Dragon Slayer. Nothing to do with people that are born. It's more, it does have something to do. In fact, I actually looked it up and saved a tab for you. So the minds of people who grow up in the 60s, totally different. The things we struggled with in those days without technology, like computer access to information, cell phones, our parents didn't supervise us, so we get to do whatever you want. Yeah, I used to stay out till midnight on weekends until 10:30 during the weekdays. As long as I got my schoolwork done, grades were done, and I had fun with my friends. So I grew up in the city of Chicago. I grew up in a really bad situation, though, but that's another story because a lot of time in the prison is no fun. So attempted this, attempted that, maybe did, never found guilty. So that's what counts. Anyways, let's go back to the video. Nothing to do with. I repaired my own fridge. I've worked on fridges too. I know what you're talking about. I actually took AC. I honestly have taken so much stuff. It's unbelievable. Even legal stuff and all kinds of. Anyways, let's see. Let's turn to most things that, Dragon Slayer, Ornstein. I agree with you. Yeah, this is the guy, the way this guy talks. If you look at some of these people who talk, like this is unprofessional, this typo pro, yeah, you can type good and stuff, but your verbal skills are totally unprofessional. Even if you disagree with somebody, you do not talk like that. Um, I don't know what to say about that one, but this is the guy, I can tell this guy is actually older, and thanks, mate. Uh, these, this is the kind of guy you want on your team. When I was an engineer, I was actually managing the Southeast region in telecom. So I had about 25 people under me that would report to me. I speak a few languages, so I also covered the Latin America region. And not just a little bit. I actually read, write proficiently a couple of languages, a few actually. Well, no, two. One I'm still not good at writing it, but speak it well. So, and that's actually Arabic. So, anyways, because my dad is actually Arabic, my mom's Italian, so I'm kind of a hybrid crossbreed. No, I don't even look like neither one of them. So I have brown hair and green eyes. So, anyways, um, yeah, this guy is right on the dot, man. I wish I had people like this that worked with me, doing their own thing, just like MMZ. Like when you look for people that work with you and can do the type of work you do, like when I was in telecom, I was contracting, and well, before I was contracting, I was managing. I was the regional manager in the Southeast, and I lived in Florida for a very long time. So when you interview employees, you look for certain things. I was really picky. and wanted self-proficient people. People can think on their own. And that's what that classroom thing is going to be talked about when it comes up. So, yeah, most things are hard to figure out if you know how to approach it. Yeah, this guy said it right on the button. Yeah, yeah, I agree with you, man, 100%. There's not one thing, even the way he talks is professional. He explains things are professional. He actually comes over. He's obviously an older person. He's not a kid. In this thing, there's a lot of kids, but when I say kids, like, 30 and under is kind of like kiddish range to me. And 30 and over is starting to be more, professional, adult, atmospheric type of environment. So, yeah. So he wasn't born anywhere close to the 60s. He's probably born in the 80s, but always at least attempted my parent. Yeah, yeah, I like this guy. He did a really good job, and he's right there. Uh, yeah, even in the UK, you had to wire your own hay, but things come without plugs in them. Yeah, that's the thing about living in Europe. I actually lived I was in Courtney Clear for 2 years for the telecom company. And yeah, when you order stuff, the problem is because even though it's a 120/220 supportive device, some of them don't come with plugs, back in the day. So you ended up having to take like a pocket knife, cut it, twist some wires together, and you're all set. Anyways, yeah, I understand what you're saying. Here's what is this guy? Sanal. Oh, what is it? Sun Alt Delete. Okay. You're acting like a pro. Take one look around. You find tons of creative. Yeah, you do. This guy totally is unprofessional with the language. This is obviously a young, like a kid. You'll find tons of, let's see, fight for right. Fight for right is another, there is no, forget fight, right to repair. Is that what you're trying to see? That's a hoax. Even the people who posted YouTube videos on this just to get viewers, and I've had discussions with them. It's a hoax. We all know that. It's never going to happen. Corporate America runs this country. You should know that by now. You think Apple's going to tell you how to fix a phone, or another company is going to tell you how to fix it? Ain't going to happen. Imagine Apple going to tell you how to fix something in their devices. Now, there may be certain things like, you have to replace the battery because that's actually an issue, and that's actually to do with garbage disposal and other things. But especially environmentalists had pushed this a lot, and it makes sense in that situation. So for changing batteries. And I think Europe just passed a law where Apple's going to have to start making it feasible so people can change batteries in their phone. So now, right to repair was such a phony thing. It's still going on. It ain't never going to happen. Apple wouldn't. You can, by the way, it's legal to buy a politician in the United States. That law was passed. So Apple, like many corporations and other companies, own a lot of politicians. And let me tell you something. When corporate America is paying the bill and footing the taxes, they have every right to say what they want done. You don't. They'll even have congressmen go on Capitol Hill with guest speakers, some YouTubers, some people from outside saying, we feel it's right. And you know what? The congressman will even say, we agree with you. We think that it's something that needs to be changed. And then when the whole thing is over and the congressmen go in the back, they're getting their money, and they're saying, did we do a good show? Do you think they bought into it that we're with them? And if you haven't figured that out in politics, you got a long way to go. So, uh, let's see. And you look at your own, just like they're uneducated. No, I'm not saying people are uneducated in your generation or anything. I'm trying to tell you about what's going on in the world today. All right. Um, I'm going to explain this too at the end of the video when I'm going to show you. Uh, but I don't disagree with everything on here. But at least be professional when you talk. When you're telling people they're a privileged moron, this is just an opinion video. This is nothing to sell or anything like that. So why would you use names like that? Very unprofessional. This is the kind of guy you probably wouldn't want on your team. Okay, so welcome to modern times where people play rent bills for food pick 1-2 game all the time. If it's even easy to even survive, you're committing a federal state crimes that you claim on their rising. Oh, okay. So now, is this one of those guys that this is by Joe Untalam? I don't know how to say the name. Untalamillan. So 2259. So this is one of those guys you remember when you were kids, where you're breaking the law, Mike. You shouldn't be doing that. Yeah, I always like the breaking the law people. So, like, okay, so let's look at this guy. Applicable state, local, which are the same. I don't know. You said the same federal laws. So, anyways, when you ever tell people they're breaking the law, be prepared to mention the statutes that are being violated, or if there was any type of changes that have implemented new laws. Now, I mentioned during the video legal. I'm a paralegal, so that was one of the things I studied for things like family law, criminal, and you know something. If you ever talk to a paralegal and an attorney, you're talking to one the same. All right. The other thing too is that if you ever watch, this is going to bring in my boomer times. If you ever look at some old TV shows, all right, uh, like I like Perry Mason. Who's doing all the work? Who's the one checking the books? To find out what statutes apply, what laws are being violated, who's drawing up the court papers. Those are the paralegals. Those are, in fact, most attorneys will tell you that's the paralegal, that's the real attorney, not the attorney. The attorney is licensed to represent the client in front of the judge. So paralegals can't do that. I can go pro se and represent myself in a case, which I've done. So, and I've won every one of them. So the thing is, the attorney is the guy who's got to sell this to the judge. Judge works only on facts, and like this guy, when you say mention laws, where's the facts? The judge ain't gonna listen to maybes or could be's or you're out of the courtroom. It has to be facts. It has to be solid facts. That's all they care about. They don't like the jargon. All right. I can't represent anyone in front of a courtroom. You'll find not on my name, Synology Online. I have another name, but you'll find me in groups where I'm helping people when they're preparing an order. I've actually helped people prepare an order so that they can present to the judge, just as advice. I'm not an attorney. They know that. That's stated. But if they needed something. So when it comes to someone saying breaking local or federal laws, yeah, you're talking to the wrong person. That's definitely for sure. I know what laws are applicable or not. So I'm not an expert. I never said I would. I was. There's people paralegal better than me. I don't do it as a job. It was a one-time thing I did like 20 years ago, and I got my diploma in it. Just a diploma. You spend like 8 months in class, and you learn to be a paralegal, how to do the research work. So, and that's it, and how to prepare a motion. How to make sure you get your motions done right, how you can sell it to the judge, how the attorney can use it. Even in high class cases, if you ever see these big ones, massive ones, with there's like 5 or 6 people in the counsel for the defendant or the plaintiff, depending on whose side. You'll find the main attorney, one or two. You'll find the associate attorneys, one or two. Then you'll find the paralegals. And it works in that chain. Paralegals advise the associates what to do, what needs to be done. The associates filter this and then bring it to the main attorney or attorneys representing the client in front of the judge, because he has to filter, make sure everything's right, what law code has been violated, so forth. Anyways, next one. From the river to the sea. You know, I have to agree with you. Text a good job. Thank you. Anyways, next one. Appreciate it. So at least someone. This is one online, not offline. Here's this so share in hard 660. Okay, and then your icons this thing here. So I thought I saw somebody deleted a comment in here. I think. What is that? Let me see. Yeah, you did. There was a comment in here about smack. It's gone. So that's funny. So, anyways, this things have changed. This is pretty out of touch and embarrassing to watch. The industry is oversaturated in text right now. Most of it's going on knowledgeable than you and much younger than you, and many who are. Well, I agree. It's saturated in the technical repair service side. I can't say that on the other side because I already know a lot of guys I work with that are in college right now who have their 4 year going for their doctors in electrical engineering and science, and they're already getting tons of offers from big companies. In fact, one of them just got a job with Amazon working on the website. I don't know what exactly he's doing. He's gonna be at a party with me in a couple of weeks, but he got a fantastic job. And I know his dad owns an AI company that does stuff for insurance companies. And really good people, wonderful. And these are roommates to my son, who's in medical. And one is the engineering student, and the other one is another engineering student. And that's the one who got a job at Amazon. The other one's going to go back for his doctorate. And even as a doctorate, he's got tons of stuff. His thesis is fantastic. And that's not even to mention, he has tons of offers because, he's into he does a lot of stuff in robotics too, so I can converse with him and design. So really nice people. And I know it's saturated. This is the tech world, like the guys who are doing the board soldering stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of that out there, and I didn't know it's saturated, but I can see, yeah. But if you have specialized areas in electronics, there's a lot of stuff that's still available and open out there, and much more knowledgeable than you and younger. I'm sure they are. I didn't say in the video about people who are not as smart or anything. I'm conveying in the video about why uh, and techs are not doing the basic stuff like now these techs, like let's say for example, let's go by your statement, they're more knowledgeable than you may. You know what? Take away their cell phones, take away their schematics. I'm going to give them a board and I'm going to tell them you got 1 day to figure out what's wrong with it. That's what I'm hitting at. That's what's missing in the world of learning. Knowledgeable because they're online trying to find out what's wrong. They're in YouTube seeing what other people are fixing on this thing, and uh, they have schematics and other resources that people like me didn't have when we were young. So we had to trace bit by bit, pin by pin. I can spend a few days on a board and I'm going from resistor to resistor. I don't have a schematic and I got to figure it out. Those texts are the ones that are very rare and hard to find. So, and yeah, much younger than me. Of course, they're going to be much younger than me. There's people younger than me, way better than me. There's people older than me, way better than me. So I'm just a guy who just does his own little thing with Synology. I am the only Synology service center in the United States. Uh, Now, recently, and this is one of the reasons for this video, is and why this video had come up. When I started this, my partner and me spent countless hours researching what needed to be done. We collaborated with Synology on some of this. And, there were temp fixes like the C2000 had fixes, 100 ohm transistor. That was the only thing allowed in public, all right, that Synology agreed would help them. So, yeah, how do you say this? When you have a company like Synology in Taiwan and there's no service company in the United States, they don't have a repair center in the United States. Who do you got to rely on? You got to rely on what's available. And the United States is their biggest market of sales. So when you collaborate as a service group, you get to get some inside stuff. So we worked with them and we had the temp fix, which was the 100 ohm transistor. And we noticed some of them were coming back. All right. And we went down to the drawing board again and we started going through the entire circuit all over again, saying, what is going on here? So it took about 6 or 7 parts later instead of 2. And we found out we had a permanent fix because we were able to measure with, we had a scope up, we had a few boards up, seeing the degradation. We can actually see the degradation process over a couple of months and see where it has progressed. And it was averaged across the boards we were testing. And we can see the timing. So we had a fix now we called the permanent one. And basically, with the calculations we did and the degradation in the CPU, it was about 20 plus years. So, and we thought nobody would even keep, their NAS like an 1815 for 20 years. So I can see, because I mean, it's already, this product is 11 or 12 years old now. Why, if you're going to keep it for 20, that's long. But actually, it was 20 plus years. We didn't know what was going to happen after 20. So that was the permanent one. So we had spent so much time in it. Now, only we knew what the permanent fix was. Synology did not allow this to be released in a public realm. Okay. So what happens? NASA's come in. This started like a few years ago where NASA would come in for repair. And when it left, I don't, some people put UV on board so they can see what you did, that UV spray. And then when you shine it under a black light, you can see everything someone did. We're aware of all these little gimmicks because every board gets tested for a bunch of things anyways. But it's strange, 3 years ago, nobody's fixing these but us. And we were the only Synology service center. I still consider we are because we do every model. We don't just do like 10. So, anyways, all of a sudden you see YouTube videos and service places popping up repairing this. Go ahead and search YouTube. Search for Synology repair and you can see what pops up. There's no way this is going to happen if actually, how do I say this? If somebody didn't do the research that we did. No way. The exact same parts even chosen. When we had to test multiple resistors, we had to test multiple types of transistors. So now all of a sudden there's a couple of other companies popping up. All right. That's when we knew it was people, those kids sent this stuff in, copy, and redo as a service. So maybe that's where the foundation of the video comes from. Just a frustration for me, like why aren't kids doing stuff that engineering their own ideas and finding their own? When companies struggle and are falling, and these little companies like the mom and pop stores that fix laptops or TVs and stuff like that. What do they do when they starting to crumble? They got to make a decision so they don't fold the doors up. And that is, get stuff into repair. How are you going to get stuff into repair? Well, you can either come up with some ideas or you can just go take other people's ideas. So, and that's what they do. They don't do anything thought-wise. I don't know if it's because they don't have any education or anything. Maybe they don't. But they go out there, see what people are doing, they copy it, and they resell it, and even for more. So imagine you get your 1815 done here for a couple $100, but they're doing it for $300, and they're actually selling, which surprises me, and and it's not that. If somebody came to me and said, "Can you show me how to fix this? Can you teach me?" Man, I would be more than happy to it. But when you steal from people, that's another thing. I don't deal with people like that. So, and I constantly get emails from these people that have serviced this for other people who are saying, can you help me? Because they're not helping me. Or what do I do now? I bought this from such and such online and it's supposed to fix my NAS, but it's not working. How do you think I feel about that? How would you feel? Let's say you're one of those guys who does fixes iPhones or does flex on them, ribbons and all kinds of stuff. Well, what if you came up with a technique only you know? All right, only you know. And you've been doing it for a few years, and you have a special tool, and you also have special parts you even add to it that no one knows about. And you do it for a while, and all of a sudden, 3 years later, someone else is doing the exact same thing with the exact same parts. And those parts you had to engineer and come up with the values, the 1K, the 10K, 847C only chip. Um, whether to use X7R caps or regular caps. You did all the research. All of a sudden, this person's doing the exact same thing you are. Well, you want to be happy, I'm sure. Now, the other thing too is, even though these people are doing this service like we do, they're not doing it completely. They're missing everything, and they're putting low quality parts in it and charging more. You know, like it's like saying, for example, like I'll just give you one example. I put certain parts in, like Murata. When I fix Synology, I only use high-end parts. Everything's 1% or less. Even the caps I get at the lowest percentage rate I can get for deviance. And these people use anything, like eBay parts. You get, it's a 1K, but yeah, it's like a 20% level or something. And so, and I get the messages after a while. A lot of them, it's not working. And a lot of these people are old. They they don't want to contact these people again, and I gotta help them. So what do? Double charge them? I don't. I do it for free, but I just tell them, I don't know why you even got it from there. And people even selling BIOSes from Synology. Can you imagine you're selling a BIOS from Synology? Uh, I wouldn't buy a BIOS from anyone. Let me tell you, because you can put anything you want in a BIOS. You know what I'm saying? I can inject code in a BIOS so I can check your NAS if I wanted to. But I'm not going to be buying a BIOS. I either get my BIOSes directly from the manufacturer and that's it. I'll deal with anyone online with BIOSes. It's just me. So plus making money, proprietary, you're making money on someone else's design. And that's, now you're talking legal things. So even here's a message. Let's go over this. Hi there. So I had a dead blah, 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 blah. It's got a blinking light of death. I replaced the no dice. I replaced the RAM. Nothing. I bought a repair kit from this place and replaced the BIOS as well as the. Still no change. I changed the. Okay. So I did a video on what you got to do for the 1512 and stuff. So here you go. This is one of those examples of what I'm saying. And this was March 7th, so I pulled one because it was less information about the person he got it from. He just mentioned what name, and I don't know who it is, so it could be anyone. So, but the thing is, you buy this stuff and you get no support. Is that what you wanted when you got it? Is this exactly what you paid for? That's what got ruined it was when we did Synology service, we wanted to be the best experience for our customers. So, and we do everything for them. All right. So anything they want, well, that's what a customer experience is. And be there all the time. Make sure when you close out at the end of the day, how are you doing? Is everything okay? If you have any questions, please contact me or call. That's, having service and fix something is one thing, but having the support, the backup support's another thing. Be there, help them. In fact, they wouldn't be contacting me if you told them that if you have any issues, please contact me. All right. So that's the frustration. We wanted not only to, as a Synology service center, to be the best there is, we wanted it to even be an experience that's the best. Your NAS comes in, it gets fixed with the best parts. It gets cleaned out so it looks brand new, even painted if it has a lot of heavy scratches, all free for the painting, by the way, and the cleaning. But even when it's done, you get the free gift, the latches and stuff. But you also get an email from me after it's done. Please let me know how it works when it arrives. If you have any concern, you know where to find me. You've got my number, you've got my name. Call anytime. Leave me a message. I get a lot of spam calls, so I might not answer it, but leave me a message. I'll call you back. I rarely get calls, very rarely, and the ones I do are, connectivity issues, like especially with MacBooks. Synology has a lot of issues with MacBooks, but anyways, that's it. Now you see why things can go array here. So, but again, like I said in the beginning of the video, oh, I did forget something. The school. I actually, when I go to the school, when I donate my time. So at the end of this is the end of the year, so I get to ask questions, and that is one of the questions I asked was like, "Hey guys, I see great techs here. These are like 17, 18-year-old kids, and I said you're going to be great techs when you hit the field if you decide that electronics is what you want to be involved in." Or some of you, this just may be a class to get some credits. So, anyways, I asked them, you have all the resources out there, AI. There's probably some schematics you can find online. There's videos on how to fix something online. So I asked to raise hands and I say, um, when you go out there and start servicing stuff and you have a problem on something, what are you going to do for help? How many are going to go look for YouTube videos and AI? You can see hands going up. Okay. Um, I asked them too how schematics, AI, what about this? Let's say the schematic people. Um, what if there is no schematics? And you only have like AI and YouTube videos, will you use that as a resource? A lot of hands go up. And I asked them, what if you have nothing? You know, what if how do you say this? What if you have no schematics, no AI, no internet? Do you think you're going to be able to repair it? Only two hands came up. All right. And I asked them, why did you raise your hand? And you know what their response was more of, I'd rather figure it out myself. I don't really need any help. That's kind of how I do things. And I said, oh, all right. So, and then when I was done, I told everyone, I said, gosh, you guys look like you're gonna be a real good success. I mean, you're really gonna, you're gonna do good. You have the resources. All right. So I just feel sorry for a couple of you. And everyone was looking like, yeah, we know who those people over there type of thing. And I says, you two, man, I feel sorry for you guys because you know why? You guys are going to be the CEOs. You're going to be the CEOs, leader of the companies. You're going to be the most powerful people in that entire company you work with because you're the only two that actually were willing to say, I like learning it on my own. I don't want any help. You know, these are the inventors. These are the design people that don't watch videos like this that I'm doing, that go out there and say, I see that as a problem. Let me figure it out myself, just like I did when I was young. And you know what? People were shocked that I thought that. They were shocked that those students were picked as really the best ones in the classroom because in essence, they will be very busy. They will be moving up. They will be the inventors of the future. So that's, and you see, I'm a boomer. They're in their teens, and I can even say they do exist. So it's not an endless world. I wish we had more like that. That's what I'm trying to say. Instead of stealing, instead of copying, instead of relying on what other people do for fixes on in videos, and hey, at least if you get schematics, like me, I wish I always have schematics for everything. I have schematics for Synology, but only a select few, because for certain reasons, there are some I won't release. They won't release, but that's, schematic helps me a lot. And not like Synology got board views out. So I wish they did, but they don't. But anyways, schematic people are a good group. Uh, the ones who do it without all that stuff, those are the ones really gonna make it. I give credit to them because that is the toughest job. But the learning experience from it on the next one that comes, man, it just doubles, triples, quadruples. That's what I'm trying to talk about. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. And I never meant to ever offend anyone. So I disagreed with them. And maybe at least if you post comments in anyone's videos, be professional about it. Don't make yourself look bad. You know, it's you, the way you represent yourself. When I used to hire as a regional manager, it's how you represent yourself. And you know what? How you post online and what you do, if you ever enter the corporate world, they know who you are. They will see your posts. They will see how you talk. And believe me, background checks in corporate world, big. They pay big money into it. And you know what? Even if your name is John Smo, or this or that, they know who you are. They pay thousands of dollars into these companies that can find you. And if they see the way you post, believe me, you ain't getting a job at that company. You might get one at McDonald's circuit board repair center, if that even exists. But you ain't gonna make it in big companies, the big corporate world. No, these are more. You'll end up more as a tech in the mom and pop shop. That's about it. If that's your future, that's what you want to do. It's up to you. So, and you can tell people's comments who are the successful ones, who aren't. You know. So, and I apologize if I actually came over wrong in the video, or so it's only an opinion. Don't take it out of context. So it's just an opinion. If you want to comment about it, or any post you see, not in mine, anyone else's, be respectful. Say, I disagree with you. And there were people in here who did that, and I commend them. Those are professional people. So thanks for stopping by. And I'm going to be posting this as soon as possible when I catch up here. I'm just tired. Enjoy the day.